Cheikh Anta Diop was born on December 23, 1923 in the Diourbel region of Senegal. He grew up during the time when France was strengthening her murderous colonial grips on Africa, and he lived through the ruthless period of increasing neo-colonialism, economic reforms, and militarization within his home continent. Despite these unfathomable and inhumane circumstances early in life, Cheikh Anta Diop displayed an unbelievable passion and determination for learning. In 1945, he completed his baccalaureate in his home country, and a year later he pursued graduate studies in France. Between 1946 to 1950, Diop was awarded certificates in both applied and general chemistry, elected courses in science at the University of Paris, earned a degree in philosophy, and also studied nuclear physics at the Collège de France. On January 9, 1960, despite racial tension, Diop successfully defended his doctoral dissertation, Pre-Colonial Black Africa, and the Cultural Unity of Black Africa. Based on Diop's impressive multidisciplinary scholastic training, his research, and his philosophical claims on pluralistic methodologies, he is known as an anthropologist, Egyptologist, historian, professor, linguist, mathematician, and physicist. After his studies, Diop returned to Senegal and continued studying culture, history, and linguistics while also becoming involved in politics. He worked as a professor and later director at the University of Dakar, where he also established a radiocarbon laboratory. Diop received much recognition for his work, including the African World Festival of Arts and Culture Prize, an award for scholars who had exerted the greatest influence on African peoples in the 20th century. Diop was also awarded the Gold Medal for African Scientific Research, and the African Grand Prize of Merit. Possibly Cheikh Anta Diop's greatest contributions to humanity are his literary works. Diop's work is often mistaken as exclusively foundational to the theory of Afrocentricity. A more precise portrayal is that Cheikh Anta Diop's work is foundational to all human history and existence. Cheikh Anta Diop's research produced an immense body of knowledge on ancient Egyptian civilizations. His argument that ancient Egypt was essentially Negroid, and that the origins of all civilizations were to be found in Black Africa challenged and corrected the dominating viewpoints of the time. This understanding is crucial for all members of the human family on planet Earth. Diop's significant publications include Negro Nations and Culture, The Cultural Unity of Black Africa, The African Origin of Civilization, Myth or Reality, Nuclear Physics and Absolute Chronology, The Economic and Cultural Foundations of a Federated State of Black Africa, and Civilization or Barbarism, a masterpiece on ancient Egypt and its influence on the Greek and Roman worlds. In many of Diop's writings, he recognized that despite the research into the physiology of ancient Egyptians stopping short of the full truth, it still speaks unanimously of the existence of the Negro race from the most distant ages of prehistory down to the dynastic period, approximately 3000 BCE. Providing additional proof about the nature of the Egyptian population, Diop cited recognized paleoanthropological theories on the origin and subsequent racial differentiation of humans. He noted that eminent British paleontologist Dr. Louis Leakey hypothesized that humankind originated near East Africa's Great Lakes region. The earliest human beings, appearing around 150,000 BCE, were ethnically homogeneous and Negroid. The movement of this race of people followed through the Sahara, and the Nile Valley where the basin in what is now Egypt was populated. Diop further adds that research shows the Nile Valley was populated solely by blacks from the origin of humanity up to the appearances of the other races some 20,000 to 15,000 years ago. Diop wrote in Civilization or Barbarism, prior to some infiltration at the end of the 4th millennium, whites were absent from Egypt, and it practically remained that way until 1300 BCE. Diop also cited other contemporary cultures and mostly Greek historians like Herodotus, who toured Egypt during his travels. Diop quoted Herodotus on the appearance of Egyptians and their cultural ties to other Africans, referring to ancient Egyptians as having black skin and kinky hair. Despite the compelling research, much of Diop's assertions has drawn criticism, particularly amongst Eurocentric thought. Despite this criticism, many of Diop's scientific-based assertions regarding ancient Egyptians being black have now been validated through anthropological research. It is important to note Cheikh Anta Diop abhorred racism. He never argued that black Africans were monolithic and genetically superior to any other people. But based on his research on the Nile Valley region and West Africa, he concluded that the ancient Egyptians were bioculturally black as a matter of honest human fact, not subjective hopes or wishes. Diop took Africa very seriously, and set it against the artificiality of colonialism. He was a nationalist who emphasized the value of historical consciousness as an ideological foundation for building independent black federalism. His views on development included Africa's acquisition of nuclear capabilities, industrialization, self-determination, and self-reliance. He was convinced that the history of Africa could not be written correctly until historians connected it to ancient Egypt. Cheikh Anta Diop is a master teacher and one of the premier historians to ever exist on planet Earth. His groundbreaking research on the African civilizations challenged the prevailing racially biased and inaccurate Eurocentric view of the world. Cheikh Anta Diop's work on the human race's origins and pre-colonial Africa will be remembered as monumental for all honest historians.